deeply experienced the pain of first learning what, scientific method of sales is. In the beginning, we were really, really green. Like we thought we're just going to hire a few salespeople and they're going to generate pipeline, close the pipeline, and everything is going to go there, right? You just need to hire
Easy.
salespeople and the product's going to sell. And once the product didn't sell, then we had to be, a bit more creative around that. So at the time, I remember we embarked on the journey to really educate ourselves on revenue architecture. It wasn't called revenue architecture back in the days. It was pioneered by people like Aaron Ross, who's built predictable revenue and from impossible to inevitable. And Mark Roberge was also one of the pioneer in the industry with the sales acceleration formula and what it's done to HubSpot. And we really went into that field. And when we started implementing specialization, measuring everything, being more consistent in trying to understand which channel was providing what kind of ROI and iterating progressively and building really the business around the customer journey, then we started to see pipeline generation slowly going up. And then it started to become inevitable. And then close rate shortly followed and it became inevitable. And then we saw the metrics and we opened up new go-to-market motion and new channels. And really, you could really feel that this next step was smaller than the first one. And that we were building something that was progressively accelerating. And it was a turning point. It's the reason why we were able to get a successful exit. And then we saw that methodology at scale with a company called Lightspeed, who was now a $3 billion company listed on the New York Stock Exchange, and a phenomenal company altogether. But really there was that core moment. And I remember vividly my VCs when they saw that we were doing that and successful at it, they asked me to coach some of their Series A entrepreneur, saying, well, Guillaume, help them find and scale go-to-market fit. And the first thing I was doing every time was speak with these entrepreneurs. And I was spending the first 10 minutes to validate whether or not they really had product market fit. Because, some of them, they're amazing at pitching. And if you don't have product market fit, then you don't build high velocity sales. It's just going to get you faster to a well. But the next 50 minutes, I found myself repeating the same thing over and over and over again. And it was the same things regardless of the industry, the type of product, as long as they were B2B, it was very consistent. And I was, a bit saddened because I knew that they would just retain 15%. And the one really who I was able to help are the ones where I was an advisor or on the board or things like that. But the other ones, I was missing the product, which would be that forcing function so that you can implement that methodology. Because otherwise, it's actually kind of hard to do. And if you're not there every week, if you don't have, some kind of map to get there, then it becomes very, very complex. So that's when the idea emerged. And then it developed in Lightspeed because I saw actually like when you start to scale, it's funny, but you have go-to-market fit, but it's a challenge to keep it because you scale in multiple product geographies and so on. And something else happen is you go super fast and you lose the view on the customer journey. Your conversion rates per product, per region, per segment, you're overcovered, undercovered. You need to hire now. No, you need to stop hiring. Conversion rates are not cohorted, so you don't really know if you're accelerating whether or not you. Like the weekly business reviews that we had was the time where the CRO and the president was making sure to really make sure that, marketing was talking to pre-sales, to sales, and so on and so on. I was sitting in that room, I was like, this is math. This is math. Who has the math? And then, everybody trying to justify the number because they want to look good in front of their boss. And this is where I realized that actually it's not just something for startup scale up needed as well. And that maybe means that if we can productify that, then we have a real market and not just a service company. And we embarked on this. And people kept telling us, well, Guillaume, this is a service business. This is not a product. And I believe that now we productified that. So yeah, a long explanation, but deeply
No,
anchored into a pain and an experience I've lived in.